I'm just so enraged by all these atheist displays and trying to push Jesus to the back seat on Christmas Day.
I have to say some of my best friends are atheists, but I think probably the best thing we can do is let them make fools of themselves in the public square and say a prayer for them.
Yeah, but Michelle, if you let them do that, then over time they will have the control. That's my point. If you don't stand up and fight for it, it might just disappear. I'm talking about Christianity.
You treat these people like trolls, just attention seekers who are trying to undermine civility and undermine peace.
So you think you're going to ignore the atheist movement?
I think making fun of them too and mockery is probably the second best solution.
I'm Jimmy Walter, a patriot fighting the real terrorists behind 9/11. The evidence we have indicates that the aircraft that took off from Boston were landed secretly at a military base. Remotely piloted vehicles were caused to take off, and those remotely piloted vehicles struck all three buildings, the two towers and the Pentagon. I firmly believe that many of the alleged passengers on the alleged hijacked aircraft are still alive, and quite frankly, I think they were probably all working for the government.
My father.
Passed?
Yes.
Okay. Cancer?
No.
Somebody had something that affected their bone.
It's Mom.
She had bone cancer. So your mom had the bone cancer?
Yes.
Okay, and passed from that?
Yes.
She's making me feel like when she passes either around or on a governmental holiday, or something that would be celebratory, but for the country.
My father.
July 4th, Veterans Day, Memorial Day.
September 11th.
Did he pass in the September 11th?
Yes. He's a fireman.
Are you the baby girl of the family?
I'm the only girl.
Okay. He's making me feel like you're the baby girl.
I do believe that the body creates illness and that the body can heal itself from any disease known to man. My name is Dr. Jeffrey Patak. I am a chiropractor. Chiropractic is about producing life and the correction of a vertebral subluxation.
The subluxation can cause autism, Down syndrome, brain damage, cancer. A lot of it is playing to what people want to hear.
Okay, sweetie, so take a big breath in and just relax everything. Oh, you're so good. Little pressure from two thumbs, everything's moving nice and easy. I had a baby with eczema. She was 2 years old or maybe less. And after 2 weeks of care, her eczema cleared. No medication, no nothing. The youngest person I've adjusted was about 1.5 minutes old.
4 generations, including my aunt and uncle, and my mom, my grandmother, my daughter, myself, and even my sister's cat.
I believe the Earth as it is now, as we see it basically now, is about 6,000 years old, based on the biblical accounts. The Bible has been recognized by anyone with any sort of historical training and background as an accurate historical book.
It's equally valid.
Without a doubt in my mind, I believe vaccinations triggered Evan's autism.
American Academy of Pediatrics and others continue to say that there is no link between vaccines and autism. Paul Offit is one of these doctors who said one of the reasons why fear of vaccines exists is because of the power of the anecdote, as he puts it. We're up against personal and compelling stories, and we have to find a way to make real science more compelling.
You ask any mother in the autism community, I think they need to wake up and stop hurting our kids.
Your son is healed from autism. That is also something that the medical community says is not necessarily possible.
Recovered from autism. Basically changing the diets.
The risk of not vaccinating could be even worse. What do you say about why, first of all, they're reluctant to talk about any possible link between vaccines and autism?
I think greed has made it so almost impossible, though, until all the parents start shouting and screaming. This is ridiculous. You're hurting our kids.
I'm Dwayne Gish, the Senior Vice President of the Institute for Creation Research. Evolution is no more scientific than creation, and creation is no more religious than evolution. What we want to do is to bring into the schools the scientific evidence that supports a theistic supernatural origin as opposed to the theory of evolution.
And Paul said, "Who art thou, O man, that repliest against God? Can the thing formed say to him that formed him, why have you made me thus?"
So God hates homosexuals because he can only give them the gift of repentance.
No, you're
and has
being way
chosen
too
not
narrow
to,
and you think you're
and
clever.
hates them because
You're too narrow. They are homosexuals because God hates them. Yeah. God hates you. God Almighty has judged you and found you wanting, and you are headed to hell. Yes. Go over there and eat each other's feces. Have a nice day.
I think 911 was not what the government says. The events actually happened. There were airplane crashes. There were people dead. But it was not as the government tells us. Eric Hupschmid, software developer. In a nutshell, what happened on September 11th, it looks like some people within the government fooled a lot of the others. They decided to run a fake terrorist attack, creating what seems to be an attack by Arabs.
My daughter, Michelle, was 17 years old. She was shot.
Circumstances around her death?
She just collapsed in her room. I don't know, but something looks like it hit the chest. Because it looks like a combustion. They found nothing on the autopsy. I don't care, but it looks like something hit her in the chest.
Can you show yourselves to us? Derek, you're all right.
Yes, that's what you want.
Derek sometimes gets possessed. This can happen quite a lot. This has been happening quite frequently.
I'm David Icke. I'm the author of some 14 books, and I've spent the last 13 years traveling to more than 40 countries, investigating who really controls the world. And it's not who we think it is. This world is controlled by reptilian entities that occupy human form, which we see as human with our 5 senses, but beyond that, they're reptilian. If we could see beyond the limitations of our 5 senses, we would see George Bush the father and George Bush the son as reptilian entities. There was some kind of interbreeding between a non-human race and humans in the far ancient world that created hybrid bloodlines. I can very, very confidently say the Bush family, Dick Cheney, the British royal family, big time, comes from these reptilian hybrid bloodlines.
Every animal blows my mind. When they tell me something that I'm not supposed to know, it blows my mind. Monica Dietrich, I am an animal communicator. I needed to give the animals a voice because there were too many psychics for humans and not enough people for animals. I call this form of ESP picture telepathy, because to me it reflects on a picture that comes through my third eye and it plays out. And it plays like a little movie that tells me a story that I have to translate into words that people understand. Animals have tendencies. I have talked to several animals that were gay.
This is what this alien friend of mine looks like.
They were teaching me psychokinetics, being able to move objects with my mind.
This is a picture of my extraterrestrial husband. His name is Talab.
Do you feel that you have had babies with that extraterrestrial male?
Yes, there's 3 children, but I've only seen 2. And that's 1 male son and 1 daughter.
Using his extraordinary psychic ability to communicate with spirits, James Van Praagh has transformed lives by unlocking mysteries and sharing secrets from the other side. This best-selling author and renowned medium now has a new book uncovering the truth about the spirit realm. James not only shares his own experience with spirits, but also shows how you too can access your own psychic ability.
I wrote the book Ghosts Among Us, Uncovering the Truth About the Other Side, because people want to know, what's it like to be a ghost, and what does the other side look like?
Nobody can convince me that our president did not hire Saudi nationals with Saudi passports to come over to this country and fly airplanes into those buildings to give him a mandate to go over and invade Iraq as he had planned.
And people will read this book and they'll be like, wow. And they're going to look at it and say, somehow in the back of my head, I knew some of this was happening somewhere. Though that's throughout the book. So you're really not the writer, you're the instrument. And in my case, of course, being a medium, I just open myself up to whatever comes through, and that's the book. Anybody can connect with spirits on the other side. It's easy. You just got to know how to do it. My book explains how to connect with them.
Larry King Live.
Santa Cruz, California, as we go to calls for James Van Praagh. Hello. Oklahoma City for James Van Praagh. Phoenix, Arizona. Denver. Eugene, Oregon. London, England. Hello.
December 21st, 2012. I'm Dr. Jason Rand, and I'm the author and researcher of The Return of Planet X. Its gravitational force could be strong enough that it will cause some major catastrophic Earth changes. It's going to be bad. I don't want to be right, but I think I am.
It was September 11th. There was no, he was a fireman, but
well, no, see, I keep seeing him in water. Is there any way he could have drowned in water some way?
They never found a piece of him.
Because he says he couldn't breathe and he was filled with water. Well, if they were trying to put the fire out, Montel.
They could have, yeah.
No, they won't find him, but honey, that's okay, because it doesn't matter if they find him or not, he's still over there.